What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tyler Wells. If you're new here, thank you for watching. Stick around if you like what you see. To those of you who are subscribed, yes, I have shaved off all my hair. I'm bald. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about the worst mistake I've ever made working as a personal assistant. It's a crazy story and one of the scariest days of my life. So let's just jump right in. Alright, so a little bit of backstory if you're new here. I was a personal assistant for Billy Baldwin and China Phillips back in Santa Barbara. I live in LA now, but for the past 3 years, since 2018, I, for the first time ever, became a personal assistant. I've always seen personal assistants growing up and thought like, wow, that would be really, really cool to do. And thought, how cool would it be to be a personal assistant to somebody well-known in the entertainment industry? I studied film in school, so I've always loved film, television, music, and my personality, I'm a huge people pleaser. I just like the idea of being someone's right-hand man and getting to walk through the industry with them and learn the ropes as I go. And you learn a lot from being a personal assistant, but it's not for everyone. You have to have a certain type of personality. You have to be able to take direction. You have to be submissive and take what comes. No 2 days are ever the same. So in 2018, I was presented with this opportunity of working for the Baldwins. And if you guys are subscribed to me, you guys know a little bit of my backstory. I used to work at Starbucks. This position with the Baldwins totally unexpectedly fell into my lap. Once I got approached with that position, I took it. If you're subscribed to my channel, you've probably seen my social anxiety experience video. If you haven't, I'll put a link down below so you can watch that. But basically from the years 2015 to 2018, I was battling severely with social anxiety. For those years, every day I had this brain fog. On top of navigating a new job in a field I'd never been in before, I was battling all that quietly. For the first couple of months of the job working for the Baldwins, it went pretty well. I was just getting acclimated to what it was like to be a personal assistant. It just was such a right fit for me. My transition into being a personal assistant really was helped by China. She was so loving and welcoming and supportive and patient, I would say. She was super, super patient with me, and I am really grateful, China, if you're watching. I can't thank you enough for just being so loving and patient with me as I learn, and just as things would come up, you know, it wasn't the end of the world. Any mistakes I made, she was understanding. So a couple months into the position, it's May 2019. I remember it like yesterday. It was May 17th. 2019. That's what trauma will do to you. I had to take China and Billy's daughter, who was 14 at the time, as well as her friend. So two 14-year-old girls, minors, to LAX. Billy was in Paris. The two girls were gonna fly to Paris to meet Billy over there. So I had to drive them to LAX and take them to the gate since they were unaccompanied minors at the time. That was my task as the assistant. So I remember I had to be at China's house at 7 a.m. super early. I woke up that morning with major brain fog. The only way I can explain that brain fog to people who have never experienced it is you're not very good with memory. You're not very good at remembering things. You're just stuck in your anxious mind. I dissociated a lot, especially while driving. I just was not present. When you have major brain fog, you're not present at all. You're stuck in your anxious mind. So I had to be at China's house to pick up the girls at 7 a.m. I remember getting there. I have a small 2006 Honda Civic. The girls were going to Paris for 2 weeks, so both of them had those huge suitcases. I didn't have enough space in my trunk like I thought I would. So I go to unload my trunk, load their suitcases in. I get the girls. China's there. The other girl's mother is there. The girls get in the car. We're ready to go. We wave goodbye to China. We wave goodbye to the mom. I always loved driving China's daughter and her friends around because I have two little sisters, so it reminds me of driving them around, and it reminds me of my little sisters. The drive is great. There's no traffic. We're driving all the way to LAX airport. An hour and 45 minutes later, we're almost to LAX. We're like around the corner, and I start trying to do a mental check of what I need to do to get them into the airport and into their gate. I start thinking, where are their passports? I assumed I had it in my center console of my car. Checking, it's not there. I'm looking while driving. It's nowhere to be found. I start panicking. I immediately pull over into a shopping center. I'm trying not to lose my cool yet. I have the girls get out so we can search my car. I'm checking under the seats. I'm checking in between the seats. I'm checking the trunk, where their suitcases are. Their passports are nowhere to be found. and the girls are just staring at me with disbelief. I realized I do not have their passports. I then put two and two together and realized that when I went to make room for the girls' suitcases and I was unloading my trunk, I set both passports down while I was unloading the trunk. So I immediately called China and tell her that I do not have the passports. They are 2 hours away back in Santa Barbara, and they're about to board a flight to Paris.
I was in my sauna and I was having the most relaxing, enjoyable, so comforting, so healing, like just God-filled moment when my phone rang. And I was like, should I answer that? And I was like, oh, it's Brooke. She was like, Mom, we have a little situation. And I said, what's going on? And she said, Tyler can't find my passport. And there was this long pause and I was like, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So, what else do you have for me? And she was like, no, Mom, Tyler can't find my passport. And literally my heart just plummeted to the bottom of my stomach.
All hell broke loose. I start crying. The girls are upset. China's so upset that she had to get off the phone. I'm just in utter disbelief on how I could have made a mistake like that. I would get so upset with myself when things like this would happen because I would just say in my mind, like, how could you let this happen? Like, how could you be so stupid? I was really, really hard on myself. When things go wrong, especially as an assistant, your next thought isn't to dwell on it. It's, okay, what can I do next? How can I fix it? So I immediately take the girls and try and go straight to the gate at LAX to see if there's any way they can see a picture of it or if there's any workaround to get them into the airport. I go with the girls in the airport and I go up to the gate, tell them the situation, and they're like, we need that passport. There's nothing we can do. We need identification.
And I was like, okay, I have to get in the car right now with the passport and I have to get to LAX in 75 minutes. Now, anybody who knows how far Santa Barbara is from Los Angeles, that's pretty much an impossibility.
At that point, I just break down into tears and call my mom and I'm sobbing. It was just like a really, really scary moment. It was a really traumatizing moment for me. China has to get in her car, take the passports, and drive down to LAX to try and race against time to get us these passports before they make it on. And sure enough, she did. China made it down there within 5 minutes of the gates closing.
Guess who did it? Yeah. Guess who got to the airport in roughly 75, 80 minutes, maybe, going 95 miles per hour on the freeway, thinking I was going to get pulled over.
I met her up front, grabbed the passports, ran it inside, and it's by the grace of God that those girls made it on that flight because China was able to bring down those passports. I am just a whole whirlwind of emotions. I'm a wreck. I'm relieved they got on, but I immediately start thinking, I'm fired. This is it, I'm fired. My brain just immediately went there and started thinking like, I'm gonna have to look for a job. I'm gonna have to go back to working for Starbucks. I accepted that I had been fired. I thought that was such a big mistake that you could not come back from as an assistant, and just assumed that that was something that made me disposable. So immediately after the girls get on, I called China and I let her know that they made it on. There's relief there. I remember walking back outside of the international terminal, right out there by the cars. I called China and I'm bawling. And I'm like, China, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I wasn't thinking clearly. I know I'm fired, but I'm so sorry. I was like ugly crying. So apologetic and just so upset that I let that happen. Much to my surprise, China was like, Tyler, you're not fired. Yes, it was a mistake. It was a really, really big one, but you're gonna learn from it. And I did.
And of course, I felt just horrible for Tyler. Not in the moment, I didn't. In the moment, I was just mad. I was mad. Forgive me, Lord. I was not happy. After the anger, I did feel really bad for Tyler because I love Tyler. I felt terrible that he, had made this mistake, and I knew that he probably thought that his butt was fired. But that's not who I am. I actually called him and said, I know you probably think you're fired. And he was like, I'm not fired. And I was like, no, you're not fired. You're not fired. You live and learn. You live and learn.
After that, I made a conscious effort to dot my I's and cross my T's to make sure something that severe could never, ever, ever happen again. I was really shocked that they kept me on. I was really, really surprised that that action was forgivable. I think I'm really hard on myself. Upon talking to my mom, she was like, you're human, you're gonna make mistakes. And I did make a mistake. It was a really dumb mistake.
Song that I learned when I was really young goes, everyone makes mistakes, so yes they do. Your sister and your brother and your dad and mother too. And it should be, everyone makes mistakes, so yes they do. Your sister and your brother and your dad and Tyler too.
After that happened, I'm thankful because I can make sure that things like that will never happen again. And now that I'm on meds, I don't have that brain fog. Everything's much clearer to me mentally. But looking back at that day, I just catastrophized because I really thought I was going to lose my job, and I care a lot about what I do, and I would never do something like that intentionally. We didn't tell Billy at first.
Nobody even told me, my children and my wife, nobody even told me that for a few weeks after it happened because they were afraid what I might do if the kids didn't have their passport and they didn't make that flight. We coined the nickname Dory. You remember Finding Nemo. You remember the legendary character that Ellen DeGeneres played, Dory, because Dory couldn't remember anything from moment to moment. I don't know what that condition's called. We'll call it Tyler disease, or we'll call it Dory disease. And from that moment on, Tyler was Dory. In my heart, in my mind and heart, I refer to him as Dory because he's gotten much, 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 much better, but he's a tad forgetful. Yeah. How you doing, Dory? Miss you, love you, and try not to forget what I said in this video, okay? Love you.
Now me and China and Billy all laugh at that. Like, remember when Tyler forgot the passport? Yeah, I did that.
You're forgiven, my sweet man. You knew you were forgiven. It actually brought us closer. I really think it brought us closer because, I mean, it was a really devastating moment for both of us. I mean, you know, we've got things in perspective here. I'm not sure if it was exactly devastating, but it was upsetting. It was upsetting. But you know you're the best. You know you're an angel. Who could ever stay mad at you? Nobody could ever stay mad at Tai Tai. It's impossible. Love you.
So that is my worst mistake I've ever made as an assistant. China and Billy, I'm sorry, but it all worked out in the end, and now I make sure that will never happen again. That's it. That's my quick story. If you guys want to hear more personal assistant stories, comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.